In a span of just 24 harrowing hours, two young women, Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola, were discovered unconscious outside separate hospitals in Los Angeles. Both were found in critical condition and, tragically, neither would survive. Their lifeless bodies were delivered by two masked men who sped away before offering any information, leaving behind a chilling mystery and a community gripped with shock and questions. The grim circumstances surrounding their deaths immediately captured public attention, setting off a race against time for law enforcement to uncover the truth. This case would soon unravel layers far deeper and darker than anyone could have anticipated. As investigators zeroed in on key suspects, they found themselves drawn into a murky world, a web of deceit and excess nestled within the glamour of Hollywood's elite circles. Beneath the sparkling facade of Los Angeles lay a sinister reality where power, privilege, and corruption intertwined. This document seeks to shine a light on this shadowed world, exposing the figures who use their influence for exploitation and seeking justice for Christy and Marcela. Christy Giles was a 24-year-old model brimming with energy, passion, and an undeniable zest for life. Born and raised in Alabama, Christy's striking looks and ambitious spirit propelled her from a small southern town onto international runways and into the glamorous world of fashion. Her career took her across the globe, but it was Los Angeles where she chose to plant her roots, building a life with her husband, Jan. Together, they represented a couple full of creativity, love, and ambition, a partnership forged through artistic collaborations and a shared sense of adventure. Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola, 26, was a brilliant architect from Mexico, determined to make her mark in a competitive industry. She relocated to Los Angeles to chase new opportunities and expand her professional horizons. Marcela was known not only for her keen design talent and meticulous attention to detail, but also for her warmth and charm, which endeared her to colleagues and friends alike. Her move to LA symbolized a leap of faith in pursuit of a brighter future, filled with ambition and possibility. The paths of Christy and Marcela crossed in Los Angeles, and a deep friendship quickly blossomed between them. More than just friends, they became confidants, sharing both triumphs and challenges in their demanding careers. Together, they embraced LA's vibrant cultural scene, attending art shows, engaging in creative pursuits, and exploring the city's social life. Their connection was built on mutual support, laughter, and a shared passion for life's possibilities, creating a bond that would be remembered long after their tragic fate. This is the story of two women who sought to live fully in a city of dreams, only to be caught in a nightmare that exposed the darkest depths of a glamorous but perilous world. On the evening of November 12, 2021, Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola set out for what they believed would be a night filled with excitement, creativity, and connection. The two friends had plans to attend an art party, a gathering that epitomized their love for culture and the vibrant energy of Los Angeles's creative scene. Immersed in conversation, surrounded by art and music, the night promised to be a memorable escape from the demands of their professional lives. As the evening transitioned, Christy and Marcela chose to continue their adventure, heading to a warehouse party in East LA, a spot known for its lively atmosphere and eclectic mix of people. Within the thrumming pulse of the music and lights, they danced and celebrated, savoring the moment. For a time, it was nothing but laughter, joy, and the freedom to be young in a city that offered endless possibilities. But as the hours slipped past, an invitation changed everything. David Pearce, a self-proclaimed Hollywood producer, approached them alongside his associates, Michael Ansbach and Brant Osborne. He extended an offer to join an exclusive after-party at his apartment in the Hollywood Hills. Intrigued and feeling adventurous, Christy and Marcela accepted, unaware that this decision would lead them into the depths of danger. Los Angeles, the city of angels, is renowned for its glamour and allure, an ever-shifting tapestry of stars, culture, and dreams. But beneath its polished facade lies a darker reality. The city's nightlife, with its elite parties and hidden excesses, has long harbored secrets that few dare to confront. It is a place where the boundaries between privilege and peril blur, and those who enter its shadows may never return unchanged. For Christy and Marcela, What began as an innocent night out became a descent into that dark, hidden world, a place where danger lurked behind masks of power and influence. As the night wore on, Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola found themselves at the apartment of David Pearce, expecting a lively after-party as promised. But once they arrived, a chilling realization set in. There was no party. Instead, it was just the two of them, alone with Pearce and his associates Michael Ansbach and Brant Osborne. What began as a night of revelry now carried an unsettling sense of isolation and growing unease. The energy shifted from excitement to dread as the women quickly recognized the precariousness of their situation. Hours passed. At 5:30 a.m. on November 13th, Christy, sensing the need to leave, sent Marcela a message that spoke volumes, "Let's go," accompanied by a wide-eyed emoji. Marcela replied, agreeing to leave and stating she would call an Uber, which was set to arrive shortly. The text exchange revealed their urgency and growing discomfort. Yet, despite their best efforts, Christy and Marcela never made it to the safety of that car. When their Uber driver arrived, there was no response. After waiting for several minutes, the driver eventually left, unaware of the fate that had befallen the two women. By morning, the nightmare took a harrowing turn. Christy was found unconscious and abandoned outside a hospital in Los Angeles, brought there by two masked men who left as swiftly as they arrived. Medical staff rushed to save her, but it was too late. She was pronounced dead soon after. Marcela, meanwhile, was left in critical condition at another hospital hours later. Despite all efforts to stabilize her, she succumbed to her injuries a few days later, her life slipping away just before her 27th birthday. The events of that night marked the beginning of a tragic unraveling of beyond knowing, a grim reminder of the darkness that can hide beneath the surface of LA's allure, where innocence and ambition met a fate no one could have foreseen. The tragic deaths of Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola prompted an intensive investigation that began with a frantic search for answers. Christy's husband, Jan, was among the first to recognize that something was terribly amiss. After receiving no response to messages and calls, he used the phone location sharing feature the couple frequently utilized for safety. What he found was deeply troubling. Christy's last known location was a nondescript apartment in West Los Angeles, one she had never mentioned visiting. This discovery set off alarm bells and became a crucial lead for investigators. Acting on Jan's information, law enforcement quickly identified the apartment's resident, David Pearce, a self-proclaimed Hollywood producer. As detectives delved into Pearce's background, suspicions mounted. Their focus sharpened when they obtained surveillance footage that captured the shocking aftermath of the night in question. The footage revealed Pearce, along with his associates Michael Ansbach and Brant Osborne, moving Christy and Marcela's limp bodies from the apartment to a vehicle. Masked and seemingly calculating, the three men drove the women to separate hospitals and left them on the sidewalk before speeding away without providing any information or seeking proper medical assistance. Investigators meticulously pieced together the timeline of events. It became evident that Christy and Marcela had been drugged while at Pearce's apartment. The toxicology reports confirmed their worst fears. Both women had been administered a lethal mix of substances. Christy's autopsy revealed traces of fentanyl, cocaine, ketamine, and GHB, a potent combination known for its incapacitating effects. Marcela's toxicology results were similarly disturbing, showing a mix of cocaine, MDMA, and other unidentified substances. The toxicologist's conclusion was unequivocal. The drugs were administered in doses far exceeding any recreational use, indicating that neither woman had willingly consumed them. The presence of such substances suggested deliberate intent to render Christy and Marcela unconscious. The drugs found in their systems, especially GHB, commonly known as a date rape drug, painted a grim picture of predatory behavior. Investigators surmised that Pearce and his associates had used these substances to incapacitate the women, leaving them vulnerable and unable to resist whatever plans the men had in mind. Further evidence gathered from Pearce's apartment pointed to an attempt to conceal the truth. Forensic teams uncovered signs of a hasty cleanup. Traces of drugs and other forensic evidence had been wiped or tampered with, suggesting a calculated effort to erase any link between the men and their crimes. The surveillance footage from the apartment's vicinity, combined with digital records, placed Pearce Ansbach, and Osborne at the center of this dark web. Public outrage grew as the details of the case emerged. The calculated dumping of Christy and Marcela's bodies at separate hospitals revealed a complete disregard for their lives. Instead of seeking genuine medical help, the men attempted to evade responsibility, callously leaving the women to their fate. For investigators, it was a race against time to ensure that justice would be served for Christy and Marcela. Their deaths exposed a deeper, more insidious darkness lurking within Los Angeles' social elite, sparking demands for accountability and a reckoning with those who exploit power and influence to prey on the vulnerable. The fight for justice became deeply personal for the families and friends of Christy and Marcela. For them, this was not just an investigation. It was a battle to ensure that those responsible for this heinous act would be brought to justice and that their loved ones' lives and memories would not be forgotten. As the investigation into the deaths of Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola unfolded, the evidence against David Pearce and his associates, Michael Ansbach and Brant Osborne, painted a chilling picture of predatory behavior and calculated deception. The trial, which garnered national attention, laid bare the details of their actions and the events leading to the deaths of the two young women. The courtroom was filled with tense silence as the judge prepared to deliver the verdict for David Pearce, Michael Ansbach, and Brant Osborne. Throughout the harrowing trial, evidence revealed a devastating narrative of betrayal, predation, and complete disregard for human life. Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola became symbols of the dark underbelly lurking beneath Los Angeles' glamorous facade, and this moment marked a long-awaited step toward justice. David Pearce, the man at the center of it all, was charged not only with the deaths of Christy and Marcela, but also with additional charges of predatory behavior spanning several years. Convictions for manslaughter, intentional drugging, and multiple counts of sexual assault placed him at the focus of the harshest sentence handed down by the court. In a stern and unwavering address, the judge emphasized the gravity of Pearce's actions. "You exploited the vulnerable, hiding behind a facade of success and influence," the judge stated. "Your callous disregard for human life and predatory, manipulative behavior cannot go unpunished." Pearce was sentenced to 60 years in prison without the possibility of parole, ensuring he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The sentence not only reflected the crimes against Christy and Marcela, but also recognized the broader pattern of harm Pearce had inflicted upon others over the years. The judge's words echoed throughout the courtroom as a stark reminder of accountability for those who use power to cause harm. Michael Ansbach and Brant Osborne, charged as accomplices to manslaughter, were next to face sentencing. Their roles in aiding Pearce and attempting to cover up the crimes did not go unnoticed. The judge spoke gravely of their complicity. "While you may not have shared the same intent, your actions enabled a predator and denied the help these two women so desperately needed," the judge declared. Ansbach was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Osborne received a 10-year sentence. Both sentences reflected their roles in the cover-up, their failure to seek help for Christy and Marcela, and their attempts to evade justice. The aftermath of the tragic deaths of Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola left a deep and unrelenting mark on those who loved them. For Christy's husband, Jan, life was forever shattered in the blink of an eye. He had built a life full of love, passion, and shared dreams with Christy, and in an instant, those dreams were stripped away. Jan faced the crushing reality of his loss, while shouldering the immense burden of seeking justice for his wife. His grief was compounded by the need to stay strong, to advocate and speak out against those who had taken Christy from him. Every step in the legal battle felt like another wound. Every court date, every piece of evidence, and every painful reminder of what had been lost. For Marcela's family, the pain of losing a beloved daughter, sister, and friend was equally devastating. They had encouraged Marcela to pursue her dreams, to seek out a better life and build a bright future in Los Angeles. That future, full of promise and hope, was cruelly extinguished. Her parents, siblings, and close friends carried the heavy weight of grief while grappling with the harsh reality that justice for Marcela was a long, arduous path. The psychological toll was immense. Sleepless nights, constant memories of their loss, and the never-ending ache of a future without her. The emotional impact rippled outward, touching everyone who had known Christy and Marcela. Friends, colleagues, and loved ones struggled to come to terms with the senselessness of the tragedy. Anxiety, fear, and a sense of helplessness became part of their daily lives as they tried to navigate a world that no longer felt safe or just. Counseling and support groups became a refuge for many, offering a place to share their pain and begin the long road to healing. The psychological trauma extended beyond immediate family and friends. The case exposed the dark realities lurking within the city's nightlife, leaving an entire community grappling with questions about safety, trust, and exploitation. The knowledge that those with influence and power could exploit and harm others so deeply unsettled many, fueling a call for accountability and change. In their quest for justice, Christy's husband and Marcela's family transformed their grief into determination. They became advocates not only for their loved ones, but for all victims of exploitation and abuse. Through public statements, campaigns for awareness, and a relentless pursuit of legal action, they vowed to ensure that Christy and Marcela's lives would not be forgotten, that their stories would spark change, and that the pain and loss they endured would not be in vain. The tragic deaths of Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola cast a harsh light on the dark underbelly of Los Angeles' elite social circles and the abuse of power that often lurks beneath its glamorous facade. What appeared on the surface to be a shocking crime involving two young women tragically became a broader symbol of systemic issues within the entertainment industry and the power structures that shield predators from accountability. The case ignited outrage and a demand for change, not just for justice for Christy and Marcela, but for countless others whose stories remain untold. As details of the case unfolded, community and advocacy groups mobilized, determined to channel their grief and anger into meaningful action. Organizations dedicated to combating sexual violence, exploitation, and abuse within high-profile industries lent their support, rallying around Christy and Marcela's loved ones. They called for stronger protections, better handling of cases involving powerful individuals, and accountability at all levels. Awareness campaigns sprang up, urging both survivors and allies to speak out and demand systemic reform to prevent such tragedies in the future. The public response was powerful. Vigils and marches were held to honor the memory of Christy and Marcela, turning grief into solidarity and resolve. Social media became a platform for raising awareness about the case, amplifying the voices of survivors and demanding that those who exploit power face real consequences. For many, the case represented a turning point, a catalyst for examining and addressing the ways in which privilege and influence can be wielded as tools of harm. This widespread response also prompted calls for reform within the entertainment industry and beyond. Many began questioning how someone like David Pearce, with a history of predatory behavior, could continue to move freely within Hollywood circles. The case underscored the need for greater scrutiny, transparency, and accountability in the way such matters are handled. In addition to the push for justice, the community response focused on supporting survivors of violence and exploitation. Counseling and support groups expanded their reach, providing safe spaces for survivors to share their experiences and seek healing. Advocacy groups collaborated with legal experts to push for legislative changes aimed at protecting victims and ensuring more stringent consequences for those who abuse their power. The legacy of Christy and Marcela became a rallying cry, a call to shine light on the shadows, hold the powerful accountable, and ensure that no more lives are senselessly lost to exploitation and violence. Their story, while heartbreaking, serves as a reminder of the strength that emerges when communities stand together to demand justice, compassion, and meaningful change. The heartbreaking story of Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales-Arzola serves as a poignant reminder of the need to protect society's most vulnerable and hold those who abuse their power accountable. Their tragic deaths are emblematic of a system where power, influence, and privilege can be wielded as weapons, often at the expense of those who dare to dream, seek connection, or simply live freely. And as a community, we must refuse to turn away from these injustices. Instead, we must face them head-on, advocating for a world where such abuses of power are not allowed to fester unchecked. The social and entertainment circles of cities like Los Angeles, while glittering and alluring, are often fraught with hidden dangers. It is critical to raise awareness about these risks and educate ourselves and those we care about on how to navigate them safely. We must empower people, especially those entering environments rife with potential exploitation, to recognize signs of danger, seek help without fear, and speak out against wrongdoing. This vigilance and shared commitment are necessary to ensure that no one else becomes a victim. If you found this story important, compelling, or eye-opening, please consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth true crime stories and investigative content. By subscribing, you join us in shining a light on hidden truths, fighting for justice, and amplifying the voices of those who can no longer speak for themselves. Thank you for being here with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest stories. Stay informed, stay safe, and together let's continue the pursuit of justice.